I Am Anonymous, Chapter 3, A Test of Friendship, Part 1. Anon wakes up as the sun shines through his bedroom window and onto his face. His eyes open as he blocks the beams with his hand. Once fully awake, Anon stretches, walks out of his bedroom, and onto his front porch. A warm breeze blows through Anon's hair, which has grown 4 inches long. The birds are singing, and a few frogs are also croaking. A couple of pegasi fly through the air. The sunrise only adds to the peace and tranquility of the cozy little town, Ponyville. Anon smiles as he breathes in the morning air. Today is going to be a good day. It has been over a month since Anon first met Princess Celestia and Princess Luna. They visit him every few days to check on him. However, as time went on, Celestia was the one who came to see Anon the most. She even visited even more than Twilight, whom he had made amends with. When Celestia would come by, they would talk about each other's worlds and compare and contrast. However, they didn't talk much about each other. So, the last few times Princess Celestia visited, with Luna coming along on 2 occasions, they got to know each other rather than talk about the worlds they came from. The times they did talk about each other usually involved Anon intentionally sharing something about his past or family, although it typically wasn't in great detail. Now, it is to the point where Celestia and Anon know each other better than any pony else, save for Luna. Today was one of those days when Princess Celestia would visit Anon. They were going on a picnic near the river about a half a mile behind Anon's house. Celestia isn't coming until lunchtime because of morning court, so to kill time, Anon had decided to busy himself with his freelancing job. Anon goes back inside and gets dressed for the day. As usual, he wears jeans and a t-shirt and attaches his knife to his belt. Then he eats a bowl of fruit salad for breakfast with a glass of hard apple cider. He cleans up his dishes and grabs his hat. Anon locks up his house, and then he walks towards Sweet Apple Acres. Anon passes a few of the town's ponies as he walks down the street. They either give him a wave or give him a slight nod. It's odd to Anon because a month ago, ponies would avoid him like he had the plague. Now, they don't even mind being associated with him. The ponies don't even steer clear of him. As well, even a few of the foals approached Anon wanting to get a high five or a hoof bump. The local school teacher, Miss Cheerlee, even invited Anon to the school to talk about his species. A few days earlier, however, Anon knows the pony's opinion of him has changed because the princesses trust him. To him, it is slightly pathetic that the ponies trust him because their princesses do. Although, Anon doesn't mind being charged, much less liked, for once in his life. Eventually, Anon reaches the farm. The apple's cannoli, named Winona, spots him as he approaches. Winona barks happily and runs up to Anon. She lays on her back, wanting a belly rub. Anon gives her one. Winona used to be highly skittish around Anon because he ran through the farm like a timber wolf after a deer 4 months ago. Now, she enjoys it when Anon comes by. Anon walks up to the house, which looks like a barn, and knocks on the door. He hears hoofsteps. The door opens, and Anon sees Applejack. "Howdy, Anon. You're right on time," she says. "That's a good thing, isn't it?" Anon asks. "I'd say so. Come on in." Applejack motions for Anon to follow her. Anon follows Applejack into the house, up the stairs, and into a bedroom. Applejack's younger sister and older brother, Apple Bloom and Big Mac, are attempting to move a large dresser. They struggle as they try to push it out of the room. Anon stifles a laugh at the sight. Guys, need some help?" Anon asks. "Yup," Big Mac replies. "Alright, Apple Bloom and Applejack, clear a path to the barn, especially keeping the animals out of the way. I don't want to be responsible for the death of one of your animals," Anon suggested. "Sounds like a plan to me, Anon. Come on, Apple Bloom," Applejack says. She motions for her sister to follow her. Then Applejack and Apple Bloom walk out of the bedroom, leaving Anon and Big Mac. "Yep," Big Mac replies, "but only for a short amount of time." "That works for me. We can pick up the chest of "Yep," Big Mac replies, "but only for a short amount of time." That works for me. We can pick up the chest o' drawers up on the bottom and carry it out. That'll work. Anon squats down and places his hands underneath the chest. Big Mac follows suit. Then they lift the chest slowly and carry it out of the house into the barn. They move furniture for almost 2 hours. Thankfully, Applejack and Apple Bloom begin repairing, sanding, and staining the wood table, which speeds up the process. When Big Mac and Anon finish moving the furniture into the barn, they help the mares. They work in silence until they take a short break. So, Big Mac, Spike told me you're into Dungeons and Dragons. That true? Anon says. You could say that, Big Mac replies. Into it. He and his friends dress up as the characters they play, Apple Bloom says. That's part of the game, Big Mac defends himself. Where I come from, we call that cosplay, Anon announces. I asked because Spike asked me to play with him sometime. Since you and I are acquaintances, he thought we could play as a group. I turned him down, though. Big Mac raises an eyebrow. Why? He asks. Not my kind of game, Anon says. Suit yourself, Big Mac says as he shrugs his shoulders. Anon doesn't like D&D because Anon's brother was obsessed with it, thus causing Anon to despise the game. What bothered Anon the most was that his parents spent hundreds of dollars on various items David needed. Anon rarely received $10 from his parents. What do you like? Apple Bloom asks. Anon rubs his chin, facial hairs prick his fingers as he does this. I like reading history books, money, and hanging out with friends, Anon replies. History? Boring, Apple Bloom says. Have you tried imagining it as if you were at the event? Apple Bloom shakes her head. Let me try it out on you. Close your eyes, and I'll tell you a story, Anon says. Applejack and Big Mac, you can try this too. The siblings close their eyes and listen to Anon's story. You are a Spartan warrior. A Spartan is a human warrior from the city-state of Sparta. You wear armor similar to equestrian armed forces and carry identical weapons. You have a 30-pound shield on your left arm. It is heavy, but you're used to the weight. You hold a large spear in your right hand, and your prized sword is attached to your hip. The ground shakes and battle cries ring out as over 100,000 Persian soldiers charge at your position, which is a narrow mountain pass. You know you'll likely die alongside 300 of your fellow Spartans and 6,700 Greek warriors. But if it is to defend Greece, the god Zeus may look down upon you with pride. King Leonidas and his captain, Armidas, are about 3 rows of men as the Persian army closes in. He begins one of his famous battle speeches. It goes something like this. This is where we hold them. This is where we fight. This is where we die. Captain Armidas turns and looks almost directly at you. He shouts, Earn these shields, boys! You and your fellow Greek warriors let out a battle cry that sounds something like a bark from a German shepherd. Remember this day, men, for it will be yours for all time, King Leonidas continues as he looks at you and your fellow Greeks. Then the large Persian force stops as an officer rides on a horse. You almost laugh as this filthy Persian tries to delay the inevitability of his death. Your friend nudges you with his shield and says, The Persian is a fool. You nod your head in agreement. Greeks, lay down your weapons, the Persian shouts. Captain Armides hurls a spear at the officer and kills him. You see his body fall to the ground with a spear protruding from his chest. King Leonidas crouches with his spear and shield raised. The rest of the Greeks follow, forming the famous phalanx formation. Persians, come and get them! A horn bellows, and the sizable Persian force again charges at you. You grit your teeth as you mentally prepare for the battle. King Leonidas says the one final thing before the Persians collide with the Greek force. Give them nothing, but take from them everything! The Apple siblings open their eyes as Anon finishes the story. He can see the amazement in their eyes. Did that battle happen? Applebloom asks, still amazed. Yep, the Battle of Thermopylae is one of the most famous battles in my world's history. The historians are fascinated with the battle, even today, Anon replies. Did the Greeks win the battle? Big Mac asks. Anon rubs the back of his head. He doesn't want to disappoint the apples, but he tells them anyways. They didn't. The Greek force managed to hold off the Persians for 4 days, but most were killed, including King Leonidas and most of the 300 Spartans. Only 600 Greek warriors, including one Spartan, survived to tell the tale. Eventually, there was a naval battle at Salamis, where a great general from another city-state called Athens, named Thermokos, beat the Persian navy. After the Greek victory at Salamis, Persia left Greece alone. If it weren't for the sacrifice of King Leonidas and the Greeks at Thermopylae, Greece wouldn't be free, Anon explains. I'm gonna assume that his famous battle speech was real too, Applejack says. Actually, no. The speech was from a movie called 300. The movie is historically inaccurate, though. It depicts the 300 Spartans going against over 1 million Persians, Anon replies. I can see how that's unrealistic. Anon looks up at the sun to see what the time is. It's 11 a.m., and Princess Celestia is coming at noon. A shocked expression comes across Anon's face. Oh crap, I've got to finish this job, Anon says as he grabs a paintbrush from a can of wood stain. What you in a hurry for? Applejack asks. Anon begins staining the bedpost as quickly as he can. I've got a friend coming over at noon. It's already 11, and I must do a few more things before they arrive. Why didn't you just say so? You had some pony coming over. Tell you what, you go ahead and finish the few things you must do, and I'll pay you the full amount. I can get one of the unicorns in town to help us, Applejack says. I didn't finish the job, so pay me 15 bits, and I'll be on my way. 25 bits. 20. 23 bits. Anon stares at Applejack blankly. His expression is replaced by a grin that comes across his lips. He finds Applejack's stubbornness amusing and exciting. It reminds him of himself. 20 bits is my offer, Anon offers. 35 is mine, and it's final, Applejack declares. Take it or leave it. Deal. Applejack gallops out of the barn and towards her house. 5 minutes later, she comes back with a small leather sack in her mouth. She drops it at Anon's feet. He squats down and picks it up. Anon dumps out the small coins, and 7 5-bit coins fall into his hand. After some quick math, the amount comes to the agreed upon amount. He nods, slips the coins back into the sack, and jogs out of the barn. I swear that human is more ordinary than a Bowling Brandon, Applejack proclaims. Don't that sound familiar? Big Mac grumbles. 10 minutes later, Anon arrives at his house. He opens up the door and walks inside. Anon puts the bits in his money jar disguised as a cookie jar. Then, Anon enters his bedroom and grabs 2 books he borrowed from Twilight's library. One book is called The Art of War, written by Flash Magnanimous, a pillar of Equestria. The other book, Magic, the Cornerstone of Equestria, was written by Starswell the Bearded, another pillar of Equestria. Since Anon forgave Twilight about 2 weeks ago, Twilight decided to make up to him. One of the things she did was let Anon borrow some books, as long as he didn't damage the books. When he finished the books, Anon would sit down with Twilight and talk about them. Anon thought Twilight was going overboard, but he let her so she wouldn't overstress it. Anon makes sure the books are in good condition. Then he grabs a few bits from his money jar and walks outside of his house. As soon as he steps outside, ice cold water splashes all over Anon. A metal bucket clatters across the porch. Anon is entirely soaked, as well as the books. He hears a raspy laughter come from a nearby oak tree branch. He scowls at Rainbow Dash. "Ha ha ha! You should have seen the look on your face," Rainbow Dash laughs. "Have you lost your fucking mind?" Anon shouts. "Not only did you soak me, but you also soaked Twilight's books." "It's just a couple of books, Anon. Chill." Anon raises The Art of War. "Flash Magnus wrote this book, A Pillar of Equestria, you are familiar with. This book is an original copy." Anon raises the other book. "This book is called Magic, the Cornerstone of Equestria. It was written by Starswell the Bearded, the mentor of the princesses. It is also an original copy." Rainbow Dash had stopped laughing when Anon mentioned Flash Magnus. She flew down to Anon's level and looked at the books. The amusement has drained from her face. Her eyes are wide, and her mouth is wide open. "So, the next time you prank me, try not to damage relatively ancient texts," Anon snaps. "I won't be taking a fall for this." Anon walks briskly towards Twilight's palace. This isn't the first time that one of Rainbow Dash's pranks has destroyed something in his possession. About 10 days ago, Anon was walking back from Sugar Cube Corner, carrying Princess Celestia's favorite cake in a box. The Scion Pegasus came up behind and blasted an air horn in his ear. Anon threw the cake and it landed on the ground. Anon tried asking Rainbow Dash to stop. He even tried bribing her. However, each attempt failed. So, Anon decides to go with his last resort, which is asking for help from Princess Twilight Sparkle. Eventually, he arrives at Twilight's castle, the Castle of Friendship. Anon pushes the large doors open. He walks through the entrance and searches for the library. Anon finds the library, with Twilight sitting on a beanbag, reading a book. Her friend, Starlight Glimmer, sits beside her, with a book surrounded by a light blue aura in front of her. The two ponies didn't notice Anon as he approached. He clears his throat. Twilight and Starlight jump and look up at the green-skinned human. "Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there, Anon," Twilight apologizes. "Why are you soaking wet?" She sees Anon, his typical blank stare on his face, so she knows something's wrong. "Take a wild guess," Anon grumbles as he shivers. "Rainbow Dash?" Anon nods. Twilight puts her hoof on her muzzle. "I've got to talk to that mare." "You'd better talk to her soon, since her pranks seem to damage other people's property," Anon says. He holds up the two ruined books. Twilight's eyes widen as she sees the damaged books. Starlight has the same reaction. Twilight uses her magic to levitate the books from Anon's hands. She flips the pages and sees black ink streaks on each page. Some of the ink had bled onto other pages. Twilight lays the books on the ground next to her beanbag. She is silent, which slightly concerns Anon for a moment. "What makes the situation worse is that these books aren't even mine," she says. Anon leans his head forward. "Who do they belong to?" Anon asks, sounding confused. "Flash Magnus's book belonged to my brother, Shining Armor. The other is Princess Celestia's book." "Oh, shit," Anon grumbles. Twilight shakes her head as if she is breaking out of a daydream. She realizes that Anon hasn't met Starlight Glimmer. She curses herself silently for forgetting to introduce them. "Anon, this is Starlight Glimmer," Twilight says. "We've met." Anon deadpans as he shifts his gaze to Starlight Glimmer. They both nod to acknowledge each other. Twilight raises an eyebrow. When? When we ran into each other at the school when Anon was talking about his species, Starlight explains. He left when Snips brought up the birds and the bees, and how it relates to human race. Anon distinctly remembers that day. The slightly annoying Colt had asked where human foals came from. Anon had no intention of telling little foals about human sexual relationships, so he had tried to use the stork delivery service instead. The foals didn't fall for it. Cheerly had stepped in to save Anon from an embarrassing topic. Anon makes a mental note to thank her for that. Yeah, I never thought I'd see a human blush that hard, Starlight states. There's nothing like avoiding discussing sex with a bunch of children, Anon says. That sounds like a parent's job to me. There's a beat before Anon speaks again. I've got to get going. A friend is coming over in less than an hour, so I need to finish my to-do list, Anon announces. I didn't know Spike was coming over to your place today. It's not Spike, it's someone else. Who? Nunya. Who's Nunya? Nunya Business. Anon turns around and leaves the library. He's a little ray of sunshine, Starlight says sarcastically as Anon closes the door. Anon can be kind when he's in a good mood. Right now, he's sort of, for a lack of better terms, pretty pissed off. I could tell. Well, that's the end of part 1, everyone. God, I know my upload schedule is pretty bad, but I'm kind of sorry for that. Also, sorry for the major delay on the art for Questionable Ethics. I just haven't been really feeling the motivation to get it done. This, it should be done by tomorrow because I'm gonna have some time to myself. Plenty, so I want to get it done really bad. Plus, sorry, like a little bit of my motivation to upload has been kind of skewed. So that's also another reason why I haven't had a really good upload schedule for a bit. I'm gonna try to get a little bit more out, try to get the art that I need to get finished, done, all that. And hopefully I can have more content out by the end of next week. And I really can't thank you all enough for your support. I just never thought I would make it this far. We're almost to 300 subscribers now. What I'm trying to do is, well, get a Discord community set up and all that, because that's going to be fun, hopefully, for the people that have it. So you can talk to me and all that. Send me requests for fanfics. I'll try to get them, see if I can do them or not. But yeah, this is going on for a little bit long. But yeah, just leave a comment down below. I'll make sure to read it, or try to, and I guess stay golden and have a good day.